Hari Om, Chapter 2, Verse 19. Sankhya Yoga, the philosophy of life. This verse and the next verse, they are likely to be misunderstood. That is verse 19 and 20. Hence, we have to be very careful in understanding this verse. Before going into this verse, let us see what Lord Krishna was telling Arjuna in the previous verses. A recapitulation of whatever he said. In verse 11, Lord Krishna said, "Hey Arjuna, you are speaking like a learned scholar. A learned scholar will not worry about people who are dead and those who are dying. That is, every day, each one of us is moving towards death. Hence, wise people don't worry about death." This is what Lord Krishna said in verse 11. In verse 12, Lord Krishna said, "Hey Arjuna, the self always exists and never dies. Only the body dies." In verse 13, Lord Krishna said, "After death, the self gets a new body for itself, like a man throws his very old shirt and gets a new one. Hence, wise people do not worry when the body dies." In verse 14, Lord Krishna said, "The happiness and sadness is only to the body like heat and cold. Both are not permanent. They will come and go. That is, self is not affected by the happiness and sadness." This is what he said in verse 14. In verse 15, Lord Krishna said, "The one who can keep his balance of mind in happiness and sadness is only fit for liberation. Neither he jumps when happiness comes, nor he funks when sadness comes. He keeps his balance of mind." In verse 16, Lord Krishna said, "The self is imperishable. A wise man knows this truth." In verse 17, Lord Krishna said, "The self is imperishable. No one, including God, can destroy it." That is what he said in verse 17. In verse 18, Lord Krishna said, "Bodies will only die. Self is eternal, indestructible, and cannot be perceived by our sense organs. For example, self you cannot see with your eyes. Even if you sit near a dying person and watch him carefully and closely without winking your eyes, you cannot see the self when it gets out of the body. No one can see it. So self remains always unknowable. In the sense, it is not available for perception by the sense organs." This is what he said in verse 18. Lord Krishna taught Arjuna that body is separate, self is separate. Body can be destroyed, self can never be destroyed. The following things are very clear. 1. As we wear shirt to cover our body, self wears this body as a shirt. When this body gets worn out, like we throw our shirt, the self throws this body and acquires a new body for itself. This is point number 1. If you carefully see point number 2, knowingly or unknowingly, Englishmen also call it as self-respect. You have to respect yourself. If you don't respect yourself, who will respect you? So this is the second point. Just to know the distinction between or difference between body and self. Third, in Tamil there is a cinema song. Generally I don't want to quote a cinema song, but it is okay because it is easily understandable. This is for common man. So this song is very important. The song is, "உன்னை அறிந்தால் நீ உன்னை அறிந்தால் உலகத்தில் போராடலாம், உயர்ந்தாலும் தாழ்ந்தாலும் தலை வணங்காமல் நீ வாழலாம்." It means, if you know yourself, If you know yourself, you can fight in this world any situation, whatever it is. Whether you go high in the life, top position, power, money, whatever it is, or if you hit rock bottom of your life, abject poverty, you can keep your head high and walk like a king without fear. So you must know and understand yourself. That is what this song says. Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, is clearly saying and making us understand about ourselves. This is what Bhagavad Gita conveys. Why I say all these things before verse 19 and 20 is that the next two verses, that is verse 19 and 20, are very important and talks about self only. And it should not be misunderstood. There is lot of scope for misunderstanding these two verses, which talks only about self. Let us see verse 19. Yayenam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubau tau na vijanitaha nayam hanti na hanyate. Yayenam veti hantaram. The one who thinks the self is the killer. Arjuna thinks, I am going to kill Bhishma and others. The one who thinks, Yaschainam manyate hatam. The one who thinks the self is killed. That is Bhishma or Drona and others will be killed. Ubau tau na vijanitaha. Both of them do not know. Nayam hanti na hanyate. The self neither kills nor gets killed. That is, self remains permanently, it is imperishable. Lord Krishna says, this self, the eternal, indestructible and unknowable thing, which is there in the body of everybody. The self is there in everybody's body. Neither kills nor it can be killed. The one who thinks the self is the killer or the self gets killed, both of them do not know the self neither kills nor gets killed. Already we have seen some examples. Self is like light, electricity, gas or space, whatever you want to. They are not exactly the correct examples, but more or less correct examples. Can a torchlight kill another torchlight? Light. No, it cannot be killed. Both cannot happen. Light will be there. One light cannot kill another light. Space cannot kill space. Similarly, self cannot kill another self. It cannot be destroyed. Similarly, self can neither kill nor can be killed. It is imperishable and remains forever. Only the body perishes. This is what Lord Krishna says in this verse. Again, one more time, we will see the verse. Yayenam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubau tau na vijanitaha nayam hanti na hanyate. Next verse we will see tomorrow. Harihom Sarvam Krishnarpanamastu. Narayana 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 Narayana